Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika Zen. I am Tamika. This is PValley, y'all. Okay, this is a recap review for Savage Season 2, Episode 6. And baby, let me tell y'all something. When this episode finished, I was still sitting on my bed 3 hours later looking at a black screen. That's how serious this episode was. So trigger warning, okay. Down in the valley, shit got real, okay? And shit got real last week, and shit got real again this week, okay? We are touching on a lot of different topics, from physical abuse to sexual abuse to domestic violence to mental health to, generational, curses. PValley is hitting real life topics, okay? So kudos to them, bravos to them, hats off to them. I really appreciate their storytelling. But it is traumatizing. So this does have a trigger warning. It can be hard to look at. It can be hard to talk about, but this is why it is very important that we do talk about these topics and have these discussions. And of course, if it's too much for you, take time out for yourself that you need. Yesterday, ironically, I had just did a post-traumatic stress video. I make it my business to do self-care Saturdays, talk about mental health, breaking the stigma, bringing awareness, breaking the silence. And this is what we need to do, people, okay? But we are going to go ahead and get into this episode and talk about what went down. So we started out this episode with Mr. Diamond and Big Bone getting it in, y'all. Okay, we hearing my neck, my back, my and my crap. And I'm like, nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for this. Okay, we wanted Keyshawn and Diamond. We didn't want no Big Bone. I don't trust Big Bone now one daggone minute. And the next thing I know, I said, wait a minute, what's going on in here? Are we getting like the black and white video happening? Because I'm seeing faces changing. I thought I was bugging at first, and he's actually seeing Keyshawn. So I'm like, so Diamond is still thinking about Keyshawn, or is he picking up that she's in danger? Okay, maybe it's a little bit of both, but nonetheless, honey, he wasn't seeing Big Bone. So he tried to turn his head, and she basically turned it back towards her. And when she did that, he basically ended up flipping her behind over so he wouldn't even have to look in her face. And then he was able to get off. And she over here talking about why you never put it in my mouth, or whatever the case may be. Okay, that's where she wanted. And he was like, nah, we can't be, playing around with that. And he get up and he go to the bathroom. And her behind acting like she going over to get some water. And you see how she looked at that ring? You see how she looked at that ring? You see how her eyes went right to that ring, and she was ready to touch it quick, fast, and in a hurry. So, he told her unless she want her legs to end up, turning backwards and titties coming out her back, he suggests that she leave that alone. And she asked him, well, what is it? And he talking about its protection, and then she want to laugh. He gets a call about security, and she's like, well, why you don't do security at the Pink no more? She was like, oh, you must have tried to save somebody that didn't want to be saved. And he was like, who told you that? Now, remember, she did hear those girls talking about it, and she was always in the cut, just watching and hearing everything that people were saying, observing. Then all of a sudden, she randomly was outside waiting on him, and he just took his behind on with her so fast. Okay, for Diamond supposed to be such a perceptive person, he done got caught up with a big butt and a smile. Okay, BBD warned your behind. So, but nonetheless, he's sitting here like, okay, well, who told you that? Like I said. And she was like, oh, your eyes. Girl, bye. Gonna tell him when he's with her, whatever, he be closing his eyes. And, she need him to keep them open and be paying attention the next time they get it in. So he was like, oh, well, we could do next time now. Now, I will say they was nice to look at and everything, okay? But that is not what we asked for. So, moving on along, we get Little Murder in them, right? And we seeing a bunch of people outside, the music jamming. Everybody got their little, you know what I'm saying, red outfits on or whatever. And he come driving up with this car with this big bow on it or whatever. And basically he done came through with a car from Teak, okay? And he getting up giving this big speech about them being back home and them being family and them looking, you know what I'm saying, out for each other on the inside and the outside. And, you know, Teak is just so emotional. Like, one minute he was actually laughing. The next minute he started crying. Like, you know, he couldn't believe that he came and bought him a car. He driving the car around and everybody is, you know what I'm saying, cheering on. And they just having a funky good time. And, you know, you could tell that Little Murder is just trying his best to make him feel at home, right? And make him feel special. So then we have, you know, Uncle Clifford and Big L at the Pink. And I have to say, that freaking sweatsuit, jumpsuit, whatever that Uncle Clifford had on, that was fire, baby, okay? You could get me one of those. And so, you know, we have Miss Autumn Night, okay, Haley running out because Big L done turned the daggone water off for her. And she like, what the hell is going on? She was like, I know I paid the water bill. And he was like, yeah, well, you ain't paid me, okay? So I said, oh, what's going on, Haley? You ain't paying your people. She was like, Big L turned the water back on. So Clifford was like, oh, you got someplace to be? And basically was holding up this red dress of hers. And she went and snatched it out his hand, like, give it to me. And they was just fighting over the dress, right? And so Uncle Clifford and Big L is looking at each other. So at first they watching her on the camera for a minute. I thought they was going to see Montavious pop up on that camera, but they didn't. So, you know, he's saying, you know, she got the nerve. She done put the pink back on the daggone chopping block and had the nerve to do this, like the audacity, you know what I'm saying, during the daggone pandemic. And she was like, she gonna have to start maybe doing some stuff online and having people, you know what I'm saying, buy and offer there to get some more money, you know. Then they talking about, you know, some damn annual Spades tournament and it's copyright infringement because Roulette and Whisper done put some daggone stuff down, you know, on this poster, right? And Big L is still messing around with daggone Duffy and trying to see what they could do with that. And you know that Uncle Clifford has never been a fan of that. And so they smoking back and forth and she looking at Haley or whatever, and she was like, maybe we need to just go ahead and turn her behind into the police, okay? And he said, well, we could do that, but she ain't the one that, you know what I'm saying, pulled the trigger or moved the body, so that ain't gonna help us, all right? And then he was saying, you know, well, we could kill her behind, and, you know, it's like, no, you can't do that either, right? And so he was like, what's this chick next move, and trying to figure out what is she up to, right? Just observing her, whatever, right? And so then we have Big T getting this haircut, right? And I'm like, okay, Teak, you know, the barber was over here burning his hair and stuff, and he was basically telling him to try not to go back, right? He was like, you got to stay on the right track. And Murder's like, oh no, we going to be on the right track because I'm about to be, you know what I'm saying, on the road. And he was like, I can't believe that Rome up and died. And the barber's like, from Rona? So he was like, nah, it seemed like it was something else they never really said. So he was asking Teak if he was a singer too. And they like, nah, Teak ain't a singer, whatever the case may be, right? And they was saying that he's, you know what I'm saying, the bodyguard. And so then, you know, Little Murder is saying his songs that he got out and all of that. And he was saying that they gonna be going back on the road. So as soon as he said that, he get a call and he step out to take a call for a minute, right? And in the meantime, the barber showing Teak his hair. And he was like, you looking casket sharp. They gave us so much foreshadowing in this episode, right? It was like we knew it was coming, but then still wasn't ready when it came. But nonetheless, Little Murder steps out to talk to Keyshawn, and she's trying to tell him what's going on. He was like, yeah, it's crazy how this tour is on hold now because of Rome passing, dying or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I told I told Wody what happened. And he was like, what do you mean what happened? And she was like, Rome. And she's trying to get it out and she's stuttering and stuff. And Little Murder's like, what? And he was like, he basically tried to do something to me. She was like, well, I'm glad that nigga dead then. And she was like, but I told Wody Rome knew about you. And he was like, what do you mean? He was like, how do you know that or whatever, and trying to figure out exactly what does he know. He was like, how he know about me? What are you talking about? But before he could finish, here comes Derek raggedy ass interrupting, talking about who's that? And she just was like, I gotta go, and hung up. So she was like, oh, that's Little Murder calling about her own funeral. Here go Derek talking about something. He was such a good guy. You would think he was a good guy, because I guess you think you a damn good guy too, Derek. But oh God, why can't somebody take him out? Sick of him. So he was like, well, he bought you all those deals and he did a good job, so I hope that everything could work out. And he was saying that he about to go take a shower or whatever, right? And he was asking her, he said he had to go for some pitch or something. He was asking her if she want to come, and she was like, no, I'm good. She was like, I'm going to stay. And she was like, basically, pointing to the bruises that's all over her face. And he's sitting here with this freaking cheesy ass smile on his face or whatever, just want to punch it. So, she holding the baby and she looking at him or whatever. So then T come out and he was like, basically asking him like, what's going on? And so he was like, you alright? And then, Little Murder's just like, yeah. He was like, damn. He was like, I don't know what's going to be popping off next. You know what I'm saying? Shit is crazy. And so they basically was like, yeah. So he was like, well, let's just enjoy the rest of the day like it's your last. Another foreshadowing, right? And he said, I just figured I would roll with you because I ain't got much to do. So Teak was just kind of looking at him when he said that. He was like, I mean, unless you got something better to do. So he like, nah, okay, let's get it. So they basically, got ahead to go enjoy this day. So you have Mercedes show up at Shell House or whatever, and she's bringing food. Now, mind you, the freaking refrigerator is completely bare. There ain't nothing in it at all when she opened it up. But Shell act like she's so daggone high and mighty. The food that was inside of there literally had mold on it. I'm like, girl. So, and then there's a whole bunch of wine bottles inside the garbage can. So you still drinking even after the day that she had to come over there and clean your behind up. So then she was like, maybe I could help. And so here goes Shell. Only if you could get me a job and not one that's on no damn pole either. You know what I'm saying? Keep acting like she high and mighty. I cannot stand that. So she telling her like, I'm worried about you. And she was like, you don't have to be worried about me. I'm just fine. She was like, well, you called Terica a mistake. And Shella's like, what? She was like, yeah, you called Terica a mistake. When you got pulled over that night and we was here, you said she was a mistake. She's talking about some, no, I would never. But you did, chick. You did, okay? I could never. And then want to start her fake ass crying. So, Mercedes was like, I could help. All right, I could take Terica for a little while till you get back on your feet. She gonna talk about some, oh, you think you slick and I see what you doing. And she was like, I ain't trying to do nothing, Shell. I'm trying to help. She was like, good, because there's a difference between being a mother and being a parent, and I'm the one that raised her even though you pushed her out. So she was like, Terica is safe where she's at and all this other stuff. She don't need it to be in no hellhole where you reside. Girl, you got her in a hellhole right now. And so Mercedes was like, I would never be good enough for you, will I? And she go ahead and walk out and just look back at her dumb ass. So then she trying to call Terica, whatever. She leaves her a message. She ain't get an answer. And then you had Coach call and say, that he want to see her, whatever. And he was like, Farrah won't stop talking about you. He was like, I don't know why. And so he was like, you and me need to get back together or whatever. So she was like, he says, just oblige my wife one more time. So she was like, well, I don't know. She was like, I just want to be alone with you. And he was like, oh, please, baby, or whatever. You know, he was like, it's been a long time since I see my wife happy. So then her other line is ringing, and she was like, all right, coach, I got to hit you back. And she's answering like, Terica, Terica, hello, hello, hello. But the phone cuts off, so she still didn't get to speak to her or whatever. So I said, girl, Mercedes, you better watch out, baby, with that daggone Farrah, okay? So we have Teak and Murder sitting down to eat or whatever, right? And the girl seemed like she was trying to hit on him. She was like, oh yeah, you know, light skin and this and that and baby. So here come, you know, little Murder seeming like he was a little jealous or whatever, right? Because he was like, oh, can you bring us 2 waters and get one for you too? Just cutting her off. So she was like, okay, rude, you know, and he go ahead and walk off. So here go little Murder talking about some, oh, seemed like you jealous. And he was like, oh, no, you know, I was just trying to help you. But if you want to facilitate that, then you go ahead. So he's like, oh, you know what I mean or whatever. So, you know, they sitting there and they eating their food. And he basically was saying, like, I'm glad you got your appetite back. I was worried about you for a minute. And he was like, this bill gonna be hard. And he was like, don't ever be worried about, you know what I'm saying, no money or no bills or nothing like that. So he was like, so is this a date, you know? And like, I guess it is, you know. So I was like, So, you know, they basically just laugh or whatever. And, you know, they sitting here tearing this chicken up. And so they was basically talking and, you know, laughing or whatever. And he was like, you know, he could remember being canned and being in the closet. And they were saying something about it being their first time. Like they had got pushed in the supply closet and they was laughing about that, and they was saying the doors had closed behind them or whatever, and they had this candlelight and a pasta bowl or something like that, right? And then little Murder starts being like, I mean rather Teak starts to ask little Murder about Uncle Clifford or whatever. You know, he was saying like that was then, you know, and this is now. He was like, now you done moved on, and rightfully so. Like you had the right, as you should have, to move on, right? And so he started being like, you know, tell me about this Clifford person or whatever. What's up with them? And you know, he was saying like the whole world had moved on, things is different now and stuff like that. And so he asked, what is he like? And then, you know, little Murder was like, she. And he was like, she. He was like, yeah, he like folks to call him she. So he was like, huh? He was like, you know, I just accepted or whatever. So he was like, okay. He was like, damn. He was like, yo, 10 years and, you know what I'm saying, a lot done changed and got strange out here, right? And so he was like, well, what else about her? And so he was like, I mean, she, whatever. So he basically started telling him like, well, Clifford is like, you know what I'm saying, just hitting like trice on a Saturday night. He was like, it's like eating funnel cake and going to the fair, you know. He being all poetic about it. He was like, it's an eclipse, you know, and he looking off and thinking about Cliff, and you know what I'm saying, at the same time Tika's looking at him like, he was like, but I messed up big time. And he was like, yeah, you stayed doing that. And he was like, yeah, I definitely do. He was like, I messed up, and you know, that's just what it is, and she don't want to forgive me or whatever the case may be. And so, you know, and I think he was basically also saying that, you know, he messed up with him too. Like he messed up in a lot of different situations. So he basically reached out for his hand, and then Teak ends up pulling back his hand, and then, you know, he go and like reach for his nose and pull it, and then they both start laughing, and they just basically asked for the check. It was like they was having this little moment where, you know, they was all caught up into each other's eyes or whatever, right? And so Derek leaves the house, baby, and Keyshawn tried to run and hurry up and grab the daggone little gun that she had. Okay, she do still have it, and she took it out of the the radiator and had the bag packed and grabbed the 2 kids. So I'm like, yes, Keyshawn, go, 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 go. Okay, my heart is beating all fast and it's all intense. I'm like, go, 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 go. Get up out of there, girl. Go, go, go. Honey, she basically getting the kids in the car, whatever the case may be, and talking to them and telling them, shush, shush, shush. She was like, we're going to be going on a little trip or whatever. And she even put down her phone on the table because she know that Derek Raggedy behind, put the tracking device in there. So I'm like, yes, Keyshawn, get it, get it, get it. That's what I'm talking about, baby. You could do it, right? Girl, she get in the daggone car, she put the babies in there, whatever. She sit in the front and she trying to turn on the car. Nothing ain't freaking happening. Okay, it won't turn on. Nothing is happening. She can't go a damn place. She get out and look. Why he took the battery? Why he took the battery? Why he got her stuck there? Why he not trying to let her leave? And he knew more than likely that she was going to try to leave his behind. So now you want to sit there and hold her damn hostage? I tell you, I wanted her to call Little Murder, Wody, Diamond, Uncle Cliff. I don't care. I wanted her to call somebody. I wanted them to come get him now. I'm like, somebody, anybody, everybody. I don't give a damn who the hell it is. Get Derek up out of here. Get Derek up out of here. He got to go. He gotta go, plain and simple. So next thing you know, you have Teak and Little Murder go up to this gas station, right? And he's still basically telling him about he gonna be coming up with him, and he gonna take him with him and all this different kind of stuff. And he was like, yo, I'm about to fill this up, we getting some real premium and all of this kind of stuff, right? And so then all of a sudden, Little Murder hear his song come on, okay? And he's like, wait a minute, that's my song, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, And he's like, you hearing the DJ talking about what y'all think, slamming or jamming, and then Little Murder all going over to the people car and turning the stuff up. They like, what I'm saying, what the hell you doing? He's like, that's me, that's me. So we got it, the Little Murder and Tina Snow song, which I said they was going to do a daggone song together. Okay, what would be the point of having her up there for them not to do a song together? And Little Murder songs be rocking, okay? Let's not get it twisted. So he got another hit on his hands, and he was basically jumping up on top of the car, and he asking the girl what radio station is that they listening to, and Big Teak is telling everybody to turn to that station, and he just looking at Little Murder, smiling and so genuinely happy for him that he's having a good time, right? I loved it. And so he's like on the verge of tears but smiling at the same time, right? And so he was so just happy in that moment. But here come this guy telling them like, oh, are y'all moving or not? Y'all in my way. And just that fast, we see T going off and ready to fight and all of that. And then this girl come up after excuse me, after Little Murder calms him down. This girl comes up and, he basically ends up taking a picture with her, right? Big T takes the picture for him. So we have, Whisper and Roulette, right? They having their little soiree that they put up these daggone flyers about. And, Whisper's running the pole. They was both working the hell out them poles, okay? Like, we already know. They don't play when it comes to this, honey. They gonna give you the craft. They gonna make you feel like, you in a dream world or whatever. They gonna give what needs to be gave. So they doing their things up on the pole, right? And, you got Whisper on one side, and then you got Roulette on the other side. And Money is just, coming every which way, right? They definitely getting their money. And so, the guy that Roulette had did the blowjob with that last time, he coming up and he like, yo, what's her name? What's up with her? Trying to find out info on Whisper. And he says that he would give 2 bricks to be able to go ahead and, go down, 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 baby on Whisper. And she was like, well, ain't that about a bitch? She was like, I would have loved to just be able to lay on my back and make money or whatever the case may be, all right, instead of being on my knees. And he was like, listen, come on, are you going to tell me what's going to, are you going to hook it up or not? Like, what's going to come back to you. So you could tell she got in her feelings with that part, right? And that she's jealous. So I'm like, what's going to happen now? Because she looked like she ready to do something and set up Whisper some kind of way or something like that, right? And mind you, when this first started, I had thought it was going to be a thing where they was both like, friends that already knew each other or whatever. But obviously we learned that they had met each other here and they was just starting to get to know each other. So I'm like, this ain't looking good. Okay, she's not happy with that at all. So then we get Mercedes and Coach and Farrah, right? They both on the daggone couch drinking. He's sitting there smiling, looking at both of them like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle the two of y'all. Farrah talking about, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. And then, Mercedes looking all worried, and she was like, don't worry, he can't hear us over the blender or whatever. So, Mercedes is telling her, like, look, that can't ever happen again, honey. And she's like, I don't know what you talking about. She was like, I can't take no chances with this. And so she's telling Mercedes that he's fixing this drink right, and that he think this drink is, some type of big remedy or whatever that can make him last all night. But she was like, all it really is Irish moss. And so, she over here trying to touch Mercedes and all of that. And she was like, Coach will get mad. And Farrah talking about let him get mad. It makes him harder. And so she was like, you wouldn't want to mess with my bread, would you? We don't need nothing like this, going down. Yes, that's exactly what she want to do, mess with your bread. I'm not trusting daggone Farrah behind either. So Coach sit down and he talking about all right. And, they all having their drink, whatever have you. And laughing and stuff like that, right? And then he's like, come on. And he's pulling both of them to go ahead to the room or whatever, right? I said, child. And Mercedes is just looking. So, you have Haley bring her behind to this daggone party, right? And of course, Andre, he finally done cleaned his daggone behind up, looking like half a human being. Got his suit on, got his hair cut. He giving this speech, basically saying how it's always been his dream, and it's becoming a reality. And he's basically like, we got our addresses from our sordid past. And he was like, now this casino could come to Chucalissa and it could bring wealth to this town, right? And he was like, we've been the poorest state and all this other stuff. And it's time for us to redistribute and all this prosperity amongst, Chucalissa residents and, talking a good game. And so here go Haley coming in with her all red, looking like Jessica Rabbit, and she put down her mask. Can I ask you a question? And Andre is like, sure. So she was like, what makes you think you can, have prosperity for all? That prosperity for all is possible. And he basically starts to tell about, because I come from, I'm up here at this podium or whatever the case may be. I was born to a drug-addicted mother. My father died when I was 7 years old. And he was like, I should have been a statistic. I should have been able, not been able to make it or whatever. But, my godfather took me under his wing. He nurtured me and guided me and all of that. And he got me into Morehouse. And now I'm able to, attend, a place where all the sons and daughters of Chucalissa. And so he was like, I'm able to stand up here as, a candidate for mayor and stuff. So everybody started clapping. And so here come, I forgot his daggone name. The brother that's been trying to help him. And he's asking Haley, like, how the hell did you get in here? Who the hell let you in? Because I know you ain't on the damn list. So, she done used another name, and he was like, no wonder. She was like, listen, I figured, it was going to be some problems, so I had to do what I had to do to get in here. So, the guy comes up to Andre Bill or whatever, the one that was with Promised Land, and he starts telling him, like, yeah, after you messed up with that daggone auction fiasco, you lost us a lot with that. So they was like, well, don't worry, there's a silver lining to this. And they said, come on in the smoking parlor so they could discuss it. So, he's basically telling Haley to get her behind out of here or whatever, right? And she's sitting there drinking her daggone drink. They telling her to go back to the strip club. So, he basically puts her out, and then Andre is just looking, and, they go ahead to the smoke room. So you got Diamond walking through doing this security or whatever. And he walking with the big boys, the big gun, okay, honey, looking like he about to go to daggone war. And you got Roulette sitting here looking in the mirror, like I said, just looking like she grimy, like she up to something, like she mad jealous because she's seeing that, whispers over here with this money being thrown at her, excuse me, by this guy. So she get frustrated and she go ahead and walk out, you know what I'm saying? And then we seeing Coach, like, he swearing, he doing it. He like, yeah, 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 oh, yeah. And so the next thing you know, we seeing that, Farrah is going in on Mercedes, and Coach basically was like, went from getting it in to moving back, like, and then gonna tie up his robe, and he just was like looking at them, and they all like intertwined with each other and holding each other hands and all of that kind of stuff, and smiling at each other, looking at each other. They didn't even notice that he stepped away. So here go Coach. What the hell? What is going on? And yanked her up. So he was like, I seen two women together before. She was like, calm down, come back to bed. You acting crazy or whatever. So he was like, nah. We been together 19 years, and all the time we been together, you ain't never been like that. So she was like, yeah, what you think? She was like, you been getting all this pussy or whatever the case may be. She was like, you right. We been married 19 years and you don't even know that I like pussy. She was like, just as much as you, if not more. I said, well, damn. Really? Y'all been doing it like that and you don't know your damn wife and what she like? And so he was like, you've been so busy she told him, you've been so busy fulfilling your dreams. You ain't thinking about nobody damn else and what the hell they going on and what they like and don't like. You just think about your desires and fantasies and stuff, not about mine. So she was like, you ain't never thought about my dreams. So here go Mercedes talking about some, oh yeah, what about her dreams? I said, Mercedes, you need to shut the hell up. So he started grabbing on Mercedes, and she like, what are you doing? Get off of me, get off of me. He telling her how she betrayed him. He brought her into his home and all this stuff. He was like, you supposed to be coming here for me and you hurting me, you back with hoe. She said, wait a minute, you supposed to be, doing my sponsorship. And he was like, the hell I do. She was like, the wife told him, no, Cedric, that's not fair. She was like, you can't break the big deal. You still got to pay her, whatever, right? I'm sorry, y'all. Excuse me. So she was like, you can't do that. So he went and he was like, y'all both breaking my heart. And he got the money off the table. And when I first saw that money on the table, I was thinking to myself, like, Mercedes, put that money in your damn pocket, okay? Always take your money first. So now you done got your deal messed the hell up. And I'm like, he got a lot of nerve. That was showing some real stuff, because he was also okay with being able to have both of them, or just being able to have, Mercedes on the side. But the minute that he seen his wife having a good time and that she could get, her off better than he damn could, that's when it all of a sudden became an issue. I said, you full of crap, okay? His little pride and his male ego was hurt, right? So I guess that's that with the Mercedes experience. And, the wife just went ahead and gave Mercedes the shoes. And it's like she done stuck up for her. And then couldn't even get nothing from him. And Mercedes went walking out before he could even give her the money. Honey, I wouldn't have walked out of no damn way. I would have took every last damn dime with me. And so, you have Roulette basically sitting out in the car. And she's smoking or whatever. And Duffy come out like, oh, hey, I thought I saw you. So she at first was like, oh, what are you doing here? And just like I said, having this attitude. So he was like, like I said, I thought I saw you. He was like, what's up, little mama? She was like, ain't nothing up. She was like, you following me? So he was like, maybe or whatever. And he laughing. And she was like, oh, because you so obsessed with me. And he was like, well, I don't know about obsessed or whatever. But then he was like, definitely. So then she was like, well, oh, because I'm so fine. He was like, yeah, that part. So she was like, that's how I know you full of shit. He was like, nah, you the finest woman here or whatever, right? Duffy is feeling her. He done forgot all about Gidget, okay, and getting into Roulette. So, he was like, she said in the parking lot, and he was like, no, in the world. So basically, she was like, I rocks with you. And he was like, I rocks with you too. And they start to have their little, moment or whatever. But I was like, so now we seeing Roulette got a little bit of like a self-esteem issue too, right? She want to be able to have her attention and feel like, I guess that she's special. And we seeing Keyshawn sitting here still holding on to this daggone gun. And I'm like, girl, what is happening? Okay, she looking all scared in the daggone house. So she's sitting on the couch and she start having the gun pointed up. She see a car light, you know what I'm saying, pull up and the door close or whatever the case may be. And then she hurried up, like she went from holding it like this, ready to shoot, to putting it down underneath the pillow. So he come in talking about, hey, baby, and she was like, hey, or whatever. And he was like, oh, so you ain't do nothing all day. She was asking him how was it, and he was like, it was good, you know, asking did he have fun. And he was like, yeah, it was fine. So he was like, you know, we just went in Justin's backyard and it was nice and all of this stuff. And he was like, him and Karen had something with the kids and he should bring the kids the next time because they would have fun. So he was like, is everything okay? And she was like, yeah. So he was like, oh, your phone didn't move all day. Please kill Derek. Please kill Derek. Please kill Derek. And she told him, oh no, we just stayed inside. You know, we didn't go nowhere. We was just basically home. So he talking about something, I'm happy that you home. I'm just tired of Derek and he gonna come and hug her. And she just looks so miserable and pitiful. It's ridiculous. So then we had, you know, Wody basically, you know, on the phone or whatever. And they talking about Rome and how he OD'd and they like, look at God. And so, you know, Tico's had in this house. And so Wody was like, where he going? And he was like, oh, I don't know. He probably just going to get some weed or whatever. So he was like, yo, T can't come with us. And he was like, what are you talking about? He was like, nah, he coming with us. He was like, nah, that's too much or whatever. He was like, nah, we got to have the security. He was like, yeah, but he be acting all, you know what I'm saying, acting up and we can't afford that. He was like, we got to do things a whole different way or whatever. And when he was telling him that Rome OD'd, he basically was like, it's funny that you know that because remember, according to, you know what I'm saying, Little Murder, he was saying that they never announced anything about that, right? And so Wody was like, well, you know I know how to take care of things if I need to, and I'll take care of stuff again. But just as he was saying that, his phone had went dead. You know, he was like, if you want me to handle it, I'll handle it because I'm good at handling stuff, right? So he's over here looking for a charger. So when I'm seeing him looking for the charger, he comes across the gun. I'm thinking like, you know, he didn't know that he had the gun or something. But no, it wasn't like that. In the meantime, you know, Tika's running in the house. And I'm like, well, he going in there for weed. I'm like, this don't look like no weed house. Look like some other stuff is going on in here, right? And then he's hearing all these voices. He's hearing yelling and screaming. And when he goes to this back room and he opens up the doors, like if he's seeing himself as a little boy or whatever. So then when Little Murder comes in, he's like, yo, why would you go in here and not have your gun with you or whatever? And then Zeke takes the gun. So it wasn't that he didn't know he had the gun. He just basically felt like, why would you be going in there without it? And then he's telling him that this used to be his house. And he was like, exactly, used to be. It's not no more. You moving on to bigger and better things or whatever. And we leaving all of, you know what I'm saying, our past in the rearview mirror or whatever the case may be, right? And so then they go ahead and he's like, we saying goodbye to all of this. So I already knew, child, that we was just waiting for stuff because it was like, you know, Little Murder was too focused on making things be good and keep talking about leaving things in the past and going on to big, you know what I'm saying, bigger and better things. So we see Miss Blackston get there and Haley makes sure she run up in her behind or whatever and try to follow her into the smoker's room talking about, oh, they over here in the smoker's room, right? And apparently she's one of the big bosses with the whole promised land and her husband basically died. And Haley was giving her condolence about that. And she was like, oh, girl, that's okay. You know, and she come up in there and was like, oh, look at this. This is the Grand Old Peckerwood, you know, invention. And she was like, shut up, Bill, you know, because he was about to say something. And she was like, try putting your stuff back in your pants. And she was like, what, you know, he says, well, what are you doing all the way here in Chuckley? So she was like, well, I can't trust you no more than I can trust any of these other dipshits to handle anything. So I had to come in. So she had told Haley to get her a drink. And then when the person came knocking, you know, Haley hurried up and grabbed the drink and brought it to her. She was like, oh, come on, little girl, I'm gonna have you, you know what I'm saying, be my gal pal tonight and hang with me. So Corbin tried to come and introduce himself to him, then Andre introducing himself. She was like, what is that supposed to mean to me or whatever? But she said she didn't know who Andre was. She was like, oh, you the one that basically messed up the whole acquisition and made us lose the waterfront property in the first place or whatever because you couldn't bid more than $250,000. And Andre was like, well, I didn't have permission. She was like, well, next time, let me tell you something and give you a little heads up. Don't ask for permission. Take it, okay? She was like, I learned that from Oprah or whatever the case may be, so I had to laugh at that. So she was like, you see Bill over there? Basically Haley starts talking. She was like, now imagine the public outcry that would have been leaked if we would have found out that Promised Land was still in land from black landowners or whatever. She was like, in the poorest country. So she was like, the lady kept telling Bill to shut the hell up. So she was like, well, fortunately for now, I'm one of the owners. So the lady started laughing and was like, oh, Miss Blackstone, whatever. She started laughing and was like, oh, so you not the cigar girl. And so here come Haley, no, and another life maybe. She was like, I'm Lakeisha Savage. So basically she was saying that it could be a silver line into the land and that they could make a deal or whatever and pay her what it's truly worth. And then he was like, what is that, Miss Watkins? And she was like, $10 million. So basically Haley came up there to get her own shit as usual, okay, and trying to get this money. And so Miss Blackstone said that deal is as dead as her husband, but she was like, you know what? I believe in second chances or whatever the case may be. And she was like, I'm going to be running Promised Land a little differently. So she was like, I could probably definitely come up with a better deal for you. And she essentially does like a cheers with Haley. And then she get up and says she had about as much cigar smoke as she can. And she got had to leave. And then Corbin was like, what about Andre? And she was like, oh, I don't give a shit who's the mayor of this little town as long as I get my damn casino. And she go walking off. So, as usual, Haley done benefited from the situation or whatever the case may be. And Andre was kind of left in the dust. So, then we get to freaking grandma, y'all. She coughing, she sweating, she got a daggone fever. Clifford is taking her sugar. He's like, well, your daggone, what I'm saying? Sugar is good. So, he was like, why are you sweating like that? So, she was like, child, I don't know. So, what I'm saying? I was like, no. Grandma got the Rona, y'all. Grandma got the freaking Rona. So, she take her temperature and it's a freaking 102. So, she pick up the phone and call Toy. Toy answer the damn phone. Hello? She was saying, how you feeling? She said, bitch, I knew you ain't have no damn allergies, and I knew it too, yo. Toy, you going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. Go straight to hell. Do not pass go. Messed around and gave damn grandma the damn Rona. Child. So... we have Andre come home, right? And of course Corbin is going off about damn Autumn Savage. He was calling her La Autumn Venti Savage, baby. And he said, we gotta get her the hell up out of here. We tired of her and her foolishness. She always showing up and messing something up and blocking us and doing all kind of stuff, right? And so, but he says at the end of the day, we got what we wanted. He was like, so did she. So he was saying, well, what the heck are you upset about? And of course, Corbin going on about how she got a half a brain and all this stuff. And here comes damn, Haley basically sitting in his house, and talking and jumped and made him scared. So he's like, Corbin, let me, call you back. So when he hang up the phone, he's like, what the hell are you doing in here? He like, get the hell up out of my house. He was like, damn, you keep popping up with all your damn antics or whatever the case may be, right? And so he was like, get the hell up out of here. I'm so tired of you. You keep getting in the way. You keep coming and doing what's wrong, but saying you trying to do what's right. And he was like, I'm over it or whatever. So then as she's leaving, he told her, like, I let you freaking win. I let you win. I gave you that. I could have easily been. She was like, you right, you do. She was like, so you got the power. What are you going to do with the power? He's like, what? She was like, what are you going to do with the power? You're in charge, sir. What do you want? Tell me what you want. So, of course, he talking about some take off your dress, and she takes it off. She's like, how do you want it? He's like, crawl on the floor. She went crawling. I thought he was about to be like, bark like a dog, okay? But he didn't. So she was like, crawl on the floor. He was like, yeah. So basically, finally, Haley and damn Andre done got it in. They took too long. They was bullcrapping too much. Nobody cares no more, whatever. Okay, they finally had sex. So moving on from them, we then had, this moment with Teak and Little Murder just sitting on top of the car, and they was basically doing ain't nobody dope as me, I'm just so fresh and clean. They having a funky good time. He doing the beat and they singing and they laughing, and he was basically just enjoying his time with him, man. They were singing different songs and they looking up at the moonlight and they by the water and all of that good stuff, right? And so he was like, just saying that, singing different songs, whatever, enjoying himself, right? And so then he was like, come on. He was like, we gotta have like tomorrow to do whatever. And Teak was like, nah, we ain't gonna have, what I'm saying. He was like, you got tomorrow, I got tonight, right? And so he was telling him the story about how this devil got in, what I'm saying, I guess his mom or whatever. And he was like, now the devil's in him. And you could just tell, you've always been able to tell that Teak felt like he had a darkness in him, and what I'm saying, just wasn't at peace and stuff like that. And so Little Murder's telling him, nah, the devil is back in that house, the devil ain't in you. And he was like saying how folks think he got these tears because of the people that he may have killed or whatever. He was like, no. He was like, this don't even have nothing to do with that. He was like, this is for China, this is for Rashida, and this is for, Quill. So I guess that was basically his siblings or whatever. And he was like, my story was supposed to end in that house too, because they had basically all got killed, and he was the one that survived because he was the one that hid in the closet. And so he was like, no, your story is just beginning tomorrow. And then he told him, no, you can have tomorrow, I will have tonight. And so that was just pretty clear, y'all. That was pretty clear, straightforward, and to the point, right? And they went and got in the car, and basically, Teak was telling him, like, nah, Murder was trying to tell him, like, he was important, he mattered, he cared, he loved him. But in that moment, Teak had already knew what he wanted to do, and he was going to do it regardless. And it didn't have nothing to do with what Little Murder said or what he wanted or how he felt or how much he wanted to help him or any of those things, right? He was trying to talk him out the best that he could. And I do appreciate the way that this episode just showed their friendship. It was way more and beyond it being about sex. It just showed their brotherhood, their friendship, their love for each other. Like, it shows so many different dynamics. And after he took his life, and Little Murder came out that car, and he was just distraught, and he literally, whoo, Lord, like, was just, how any person would be in a situation like that. And so Mercedes was sitting at the kitchen table, and she gets a knock, and this basically ends up being Tara, because she's crying uncontrollably. She's like, what the heck is going on? And we see her, pull out this pregnancy test, and she's pregnant, and Mercedes is just looking at her. And so now we have, like, that generational thing coming back up, right? And history repeating itself. And she's standing there in her mother's arms just crying up a storm. And then we have little Murder come and he banging down the door. Ernestine is there coughing, coughing, coughing. And she goes to open the door and she's asking, like, you know what I'm saying, who is it or whatever the case may be. And little Murder, you know, he couldn't even basic talk. And at first Ernestine was like, Daddy. And I was like, oh my God, because she calling out her for her father, whatever. I'm like, please don't tell me Miss Ernestine about to die too. Like, I can't take it, okay? So then Clifford comes walking out and little Murder just was standing there looking at him or whatever. And he just was like, I'm not okay. Whew. He was like, I'm not okay. And he fell into his arms. And, you know, Clifford just took him in his arms, you know, and held him. And I don't think anybody, you know what I'm saying, is okay after seeing something like that and just going through that or whatever. So I'm glad that he was able to go to Uncle Clifford. And I'm glad that Uncle Clifford took him in his arms. Excuse me, y'all. And that was the episode, y'all. So, you know, I have hotlines that I'm going to leave in the description. If anybody feels like they need to talk to anybody, make sure that you do reach out. And, yeah, let's discuss. Put it in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. And till next time, right? Toodaloo.